We did it! Spring classes are over. I got all of my equinox classes done, spring equinox classes done, so we can let our hair down and relax a little bit. Don't have to stress. We'll go back to the library next week, of course, to start research for future projects. My character is Calithia for the Orilium readathon, if you're wondering why I'm all dressed up like this, and this happens to be your first video here. I'm Morgan though, and this is the April reading wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll check out some of my other videos and subscribe. Edit this part in me. Before we get into the video, I'm also going to put the books that I received in April in here because not everybody wants to watch the vlog, and I unboxed it in the vlog. So I'll just show you real quick the books that we got in April. Maybe we start doing that with all the wrap-ups. Back to starting the video now. Now let's talk about what happened in April, how I got through my classes, what books I picked, and why one of them was not the original class prompt. I feel like I'm covered in cat hair. I can see it. I hope you can't see it quite so much, but she was sitting on my tablet, and so I had to move her and cuddling her, and then she just left me covered. The stats for April though. Overall we read a total of 7 books, comic, graphic novel, comics, it's a comic. And there was 1 above 4 stars, yeah, above 4 stars, we'll just say that. 3 4 stars, 2 in the 3-star range, and 1 that will be unrated, which I'll explain when we get to that one. In the formats is about half and half of an audio-physical mix and ebooks. And for them, there was 2 dedicated review videos done, which we'll also mention later, and 2 vlogs. 2 reading vlogs that talked about everything that I was reading in the month, so you can go to those for a bit more detail about some things. I try to do mostly spoiler-free since they were Orilium reading vlogs, not dedicated to that book reading vlogs. The first thing that I read last month was not for the readathon at all. It was an ARC because the book was coming out. And that is To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. Yes. So this one was alright. I know a lot of people have also hated on it and the Goodreads reviews, like colonizer romance, stuff like that. That wasn't my problem with it. It was just alright. I was never wanting to pick it up, mostly. This one though, we are following our main character. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Now that I have thought of it, I don't know how to pronounce it. Roying is our main character, and she is a girl who can control death. She does this, well, not control death. She can cause death, suck your life force out of you. She does this by controlling your chi. In this alternate world on the continent of Pango, they have magic, and people can use different forms of magic. Everybody's magic is slightly different. Her twin is pretty much the only reason they survived in the womb, because Roying was kind of killing their mother, and she did die right after they were born, which caused her father to go into this whole spiral. And this is about the time that the people came through a portal in the sky with technology and conquered the whole continent, because this book is a science versus magic, and technology wins against magic, especially when the technology is guns and airplanes, because they can, you know, respond faster than somebody summoning up magic to attack. But it's been like 22 years since that happened. They have pretty much controlled the population through opium addiction and subjugated them, and they are just trying to rule over. The emperor of this country is a puppet. There are other countries, but they're mostly centered in Erlang. That is where they have kind of split the capital city in half, where they have the occupier side and the native side. Her family isn't doing well, so it's just her twin sister, and their grandma. So she tries to pick someone's pocket, kind of succeeds, gets captured, and the prince makes a deal with her. If he will help take out his political rivals, he will make sure her family is safe, and romance things. I would classify this as a new adult book. It was originally apparently classified as a YA, and now I think it's being published as an adult. Not that anything spicy, steamy happens or anything, I think, or too gory, a bit graphic. There are things brought up that is definitely not YA, but just in the tonal sound of it, I'm going to classify it as new adult. Yes. And the main character, how she responds to things, how she thinks things through. Why a lot of people are angry about the romance, like I said, is the colonizer, because she is falling for her oppressor. But you're not looking at how absolutely lonely her life has always been. how absolutely lonely she is at this point, as she is even separated from the few people that have, wanted to be around her before. Because with power like, killing, controlling death and stuff, she is ostracized even by her own people and magic wielders. So she is latching on to the one nice person. The one person who appreciates her, who values her in this weird way. Is it healthy? No, it's toxic, it's a mess. Is it going to last? Also, no, I'm just going to tell you now. By the end of the book, yeah, things are happening. And then probably this other sort of romance that was hinted at is probably going to happen in the next one. Will I read the next one? I don't know. This was a 3-star book. It initially had, I think, come out... Actually, I didn't even run it through Copile. I just felt like it was a 3-star book, and I went with my gut on that. I'm talking about it more here because in the first vlog, I didn't even really talk about this book. I don't think at all. And the next one I read would be This Cursed Light by Emily Thiede. This is the second in the last semester duology, where I did do the whole duology review. Now, this one I liked a little bit less than the first one. I love the world that they set up, and I love the magic system, and our characters. Our characters are actually really fun. I like Dante, but I also think that if there was no romance in this at all, if it was just the interactions between Alyssa and Caleb, right, that would be hilarious and wonderful, and just like this bonding and friendship aspect of how they save the world. Of course, Alyssa and Dante, they are adorable too. The thing though that lost me on this book, or not lost me, but made it slightly less enjoyable, is the miscommunication tropes, or the hiding tropes, because they didn't want to worry the other one. Both of them are hiding this secret thing because they don't want to worry the other one. And both of those things end up being like the pivotal things at the end of the book. And I'm like, but we're a YA book, so we have to go through that trope. But for a YA, I absolutely love the world, and I know that it is like, it has to be inspired by this certain part of our world, but at the same point, certain descriptions given in this book, I'm like, ooh, could this even be like a future or alternate version of our world? Because it did say like the last of humanity is on these islands because the gods are battling to see if humanity deserves to live. Ooh, and you get god interactions in this book too. That was cool. But the descriptions, once they got to the continent in this book, that was like, it's a city of canals. Specific wording they used that just, it sounded very, it kept making me picture Italy. It did. That, I scratched the chair. That was weird. But yeah, okay. So, I did the review. Won't talk about this one too much. Overall, I really enjoyed the duology. Then I read the ebook Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2. Gave this one a 4 stars as well. Though I enjoyed these slightly less, and I felt there was less of a tie-in or Easter eggs that came up in the next book. But considering when I read Volume 1, and then I read Book 3, and there were so many things that I could tie back to those, so I was definitely going to read Volume 2. Afterwards, I did pick out things that now I question. One of the things I was like, oh, everybody thinks he's dead, and that's because he's been, secluded off. Also, could it be because this actually happened after the beginning of Book 4, and the things that happened there? But we're not going to talk about that. Overall, though, the stories, they were alright. And it's just, more bits of the world and more showing common people, too. Like a girl whose planet was being invaded and just her determination to save her brother. I talked about all of these in the vlog, so I won't talk about them too much here. Then I read the best book of the month, which is Kingdoms of Death. This could be the best book of the year. Talked about this a lot in the first vlog of the month. I did. And then it got its own review. And oh my gosh, it was so traumatizing and so wonderful, and I cannot believe I have not started the next book yet, but I did the buddy read first this month. So. For those who don't want to watch the review or the vlog, I'm not sure what to say here, except this is book 4 in the Sun Eater series. We're still following Hadrian, and this is the most, I already said traumatizing, trying book for Hadrian. It is slightly a culmination of the things he has seen, like in his visions. People wouldn't know that if they hadn't read the book. if you've just read the first book, you know already what one of those things, like you've seen him get read that he got the vision-y thing. What we learn about the seals in here is so much more depth, and we get to find out about the big players of the wider universe and why the Sealson are doing what they're doing. And we get to meet someone who is so smart and fanatical and just determined to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. And no one's gonna stand in their way. Even other leaders of the Sealson, like the Scourge of Earth. He is brilliant, and it is horrible, and it is, oh my god. For the classes, this one was Elemental Studies because the original cover has stars. Yeah, I think it's stars on it as a source of light. And then this one was Spells and Incantations because I used it as the random number generator prompt, even though I totally did it wrong. The next book I read was not for a class. It was another arc. That was Dragon Rider by Taryn Matharu. This was one of my anticipated releases, and it did not go well. This one was also one that got talked a lot about, but in the second vlog, because it was the first book I was reading in that vlog. And I kind of ranted about it there a little bit. In this one, we are following Jai, who is the third son of the ruler of the Steep Folk. I'm just apparently as distracted as my cat with the animals outside. Jai, though, is the third son of the Steep Folk leader. They're kind of a nomadic tribes people, but his father brought all of them together to fight against the something empire. The empire, though, is trying to conquer the whole continent, like pull everything under their rule, and they are kind of succeeding. When his dad, though, was conquered and died, a hostage negotiation situation happened, and so his two older brothers and him went to kind of be royal hostages slash servants. And Jai's position was to be the body servant of the old emperor, because as soon as he beat his father, he handed the title off to his son, so his son could be the emperor, because he said he was just tired of the fighting, tired of war. And Jai has been taught to read and write and educated, and in the description itself said that, you know, in this world, it talked about him being, you know, there, hostage, and that there's going to be a royal wedding because the princess of the dance is going to marry the prince of the empire. And that is how they're going to secure a political union instead of going to war with them. They're, you know, going to do this to keep the peace and not be swallowed exactly by the empire. And only the dance can know how to soul bond dragons because that's the magic system. You can soul bond with animals. And I think it mentions how Jai soul bonds with a dragon, and now he has to learn how. Oh my gosh, though, it was like, does Jai soul bond a dragon? Yes. Winter is her name. She's adorable. The dragon was the best part, probably. This is another one where it wasn't awful. I don't want to put people off reading it. It's just there was so much stupid about it too. I really want to recommend that you check out the beginning of the vlog, even though I kind of rant and I totally spoil something, to get better ascertaining of this, because I don't even know how to talk about this book right now. From there, though, we moved on to our inscription book, which was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is the first in the Crowns of Nyaxia series and the Nightborn duet, because it's going to be 6 books, apparently, broken up into 3 duologies, each focusing on a different vampire house. Because on this continent that is ruled over by vampires, the power system is broken up into 3 houses: the House of Night, the House of Shadow, and the House of Blood. This book follows Aurea, who is the human daughter of the vampire king, and she is entering a competition known as the Kajari in the hopes, of course, of winning, because it's a competition to the death. And when you win, you get a boon from the goddess, and she is hoping to, you know, become more powerful, so she doesn't have to be afraid of vampires all the time. This is a romantasy. Rain becomes her ally, even though he's also her biggest competition. I totally think he falls for her first. She is attracted to him, but she is super untrusting of any vampires outside of her father, who actually, it's a good dad situation, kind of, because he has trained her since he found her to fight the vampires. And the best way to kill vampires, he wants her to be safe. He wants to protect her. I liked the banter between her and Rain. I liked how that built up. I love the competition aspect. Honestly, I did. I really like the competition aspect of it. It is a series of trials over 4 months. I think they're supposed to be spaced on the full moon every month or the new moon. I think it was the full moon every month. The last two, though, happened kind of back to back because things were happening. In the location where we are, where the Kajari is, even though it's supposed to be separate, there are 2 different vampire factions actually within this one territory, and they're always fighting for power. They are the Rishon and the one that's in power now. It starts with an H. I don't remember. One has feathered wings. One has leathery wings. There's so much. Like, really, the world was pretty well thought out, and the fact that we do get these stories about the gods and about the magic system, because each house has its own different style of magic. I don't know particularly if the House of Night, if the Asterisk, if that is their signature power. It is some sort of dark burning fire, hugely devastating. Or if there are other magic. But I know that the House of Blood, they can manipulate your blood, their blood, as a weapon. I don't remember what the House of Shadows powers are. I think sneaking and assassinary. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to read the next one for sure. I have not decided though. Do I get the Owl Crate edition? Do I get the Bookish Box edition of the second one? Or do I just not get another special edition? I feel like I'm making this video way too long at this point. I don't know. For Restoration, since it was supposed to be a happy book that we could try to slump, and the one I was reading, there was no chance I was going to finish it on the 29th. I was like, I'm just going to pick something happy and cute, because that would help somebody's mood and get you out of something, for sure. So I picked up Cat's Cafe from Hoopla to be adorable and be my restoration pick. And it was so cute, and I finished it in one sitting. I don't know how I didn't finish it the first time I ever got it, but it was adorable. I totally recommend this little comic. It is so cute. It talks about emotions and feeling overwhelmed in life. It has a coffee addicted penguin. It was just so adorable. And that is how I finished all my classes. Oh, lore, right. The lore was interrupted, and it had this whole side quest line where all you had to do for lore though was read The Legend of Dia, which I did. And then I started the side quest line, and I am still working my way through that. I started the first book that was part of it. I didn't finish it in April though. I finished it this month, and now I have to wait on something else to happen to get to the next part of it. For the books that I got in April, that was a culmination of like all the book boxes finally coming in that were a bit delayed and also in order. And the first ever fairy romantasy book would be Lore of the Wilds, our buddy read for May. Almost done with it now. The reading vlog for it should go up next week, and normally I don't do the review for that month's buddy read until the end of the month, but I think I'm going to put it up next week too. So I got this one, which I can only show you this because the book's in there. And this one, just check out the vlog for that one. And book 5 of The Sun Eater, also on this month's TBR, Ashes of Man. Cannot wait to read this one. Gonna start it later this week. The Bookish Boxes edition of The Serpent and the Wings of Night, they went for a red look on theirs, which is very pretty though, which is also why I debate, do I get their edition of Ashes and the Star-Cursed King? I think that's the name of it. February's Owl Crate, Bride by Allie Hazelwood in this pastel thing happening. March's Owl Crate, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. This is urban historical fantasy. I guess historical fantasy might just be the better way to put it. Happening in World War I between 2 siblings at different points in the war. One's a nurse, one's a soldier, and events happen. I was very unsure about getting it, but when purchasing the 6-month Owl Crate, you cannot skip any of the months, even if you're not sure if you want to read that one. Just so you know. It saves you money, but you can't skip any of the months. So I'm not going to do that again. And March's Fairy Loot. A Feather So Black by Lyra Celine. And this one is about it has fairies and a changeling and a princess. And obviously it's like a bit Swan-like inspired. You can tell more with this one than you can the original cover, which I also really like the original cover, though this is gorgeous. I hope you guys finished all your classes. I'm so happy. I don't know how I got down to the wire and with those, but I finished. I'd love to know though how yours went, if you managed to acquire any of the Implings or finish the lore quests. If you would like to read Lore of the Wilds, you can join the Discord. It's separated by chapters, so you can jump in at any point and read at your own pace with those. And if you want to read anything else from my main TBR, join the Discord and talk about books there with us. I hope you enjoyed this video. You'll subscribe and come back for more future ones and all the fun things. I also hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see y'all in the next one.